sore spot for a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs is, how do I differentiate what I'm doing? Because I feel like I sound just like the next guy. I feel like we're all saying the same things, right? We look the same, we sound the same. Well, no wonder we're losing sales, because the person that's looking at it, the prospect, just doesn't know the difference between your company and another company that's saying the same thing that they do. There's a lot of ways that you learn how to do that. One of them is, when you get a great customer or client, is you interview them and you find out why they chose you. And when they give you those words, boy, you better be recording or you better be writing them down, because those words they share with you can be key to your sales copy. That person that's in a business half your size or a third of your size could be doing something in their marketing funnel you've never thought about, right? And they share something, they share an idea, and you're like, holy crap, I never thought about that. We're not looking for the out of control ego that thinks they know everything and has to be doing all the talking or the drama. It's like, no, we don't need that. We just want to be around good people who you really love their company, the kind of people you'd invite to your home, for dinner.
Hey everybody, Reagan Archibald here with Unreasonable Health, and I've got my good friend Mike Burnett on the show today, and you're going to love learning from him. He's a serial entrepreneur, he's a strategic marketer, investor, sought after speaker, he's a business coach, and one of the things that I had the chance of doing is speaking at his Prosper 360 group today, which we're going to talk about. But just to give you a little background on Mike, during the first decade of his career, he became a top producer in selling high-ticket automotive, education, financial consulting, and coaching products. And then he spent the next 20 years becoming a thriving entrepreneur by starting, scaling, and selling a number of 6, 7, and 8-figure businesses in online marketing, advertising, and healthy food sectors, generating over 150 million in combined revenue. His companies have been seen on CBS, NBC, MSNBC, CNN, and Fox News, as well as Entrepreneur Inc., the Los Angeles Times, the Dallas Morning News, and the New York Times. All this was accomplished by raising 4 children, voluntarily serving in his church and community on a regular basis, and maintaining a healthy, balanced, and abundance life. Having personally trained over 3,000 business people throughout his career, Mike's passion is helping entrepreneurs leverage their gifts, scale their business, and attain uncommon freedom and true fulfillment in the process, which is why I asked Mike to come join me on the show. Mike, good to have you here.
Thanks, Reagan. I appreciate being here with you. I appreciate your invite of being on your show.
Man, you've done so much in your career, and you've got a death sentence of being an entrepreneur. It's there's no getting out of it, is there?
It is an illness. I've decided that it's an illness. My wife calls it that, because it just can't come, right, once you're in it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because one of the cool things about you is it's not just you improving your own life and entering into business ventures just for your own selfish reasons, but you're someone who is a giver and you like to serve deeper in as many ways as possible. But what is it that drove you in the beginning? Like, did you just come out of the womb just like slinging stuff, like selling newspapers, or what was your start?
No, I think honestly what probably gave me a lot of the drive to succeed that way is I grew up in a family where I just had to work real hard for everything I got. And my father didn't ever make very much money. My mom had to work full time out of the house. And I remember that feeling of struggling for money. And I hated that feeling, growing up. And I had to work, like I said, for everything I ever got. And I had some experiences just after high school that really helped me start to think about my life and what I want to do with my life. And just through different circumstances of events and people I had met and some books I started to read, I started to realize that it was important for me to figure out how to succeed and how to do well financially besides other areas of my life. But I thought that is something I've got to do and make that happen somehow, and then bless other people's lives with what I've been able to figure out on my own. And that to me that's the ultimate, right? I did not want my own children to kind of go through the same feelings I had growing up. And I thought, gosh, I got to figure this out. And so I just worked my butt off and studied success, if you want to call it that, for a number of years, and then just started to jump into the sales arena not too long after high school, because I knew that selling could give me an opportunity of about above average income. And, there would be no ceiling there if I was in the right kind of job. And that's what got me going in sales. And so that was a good 10 years of selling all kinds of stuff. And then I had the bug to get into my own business. And that's where I started on that path for the next 20 years.
Wow. And I think that's one thing that I see with entrepreneurs. All the good entrepreneurs, you guys get really good at selling, and the worst salespeople are people who sell, right? I mean, it's the best ones are the ones that are just out there trying to make a difference and serve. But when you're a kid growing up, that going without and having that stress, that tension in same thing that drives me financially too, is like, I don't want to have the same fights that my parents had, or that I had with them. Like, we can't afford it. We can't do this. Money doesn't grow trees. All the stories.
Yeah, those same things everybody's heard, right? About money. They get the wrong idea when they're growing up. And so that's a stumbling block for a lot of people, is their own mindset. And so that's definitely a big thing that I've spent a lot of time on, is my mindset. So yeah.
And I think one of the things I gleaned from your presentation when I was at the Proper 360 event, which I'd love to dive into, the whole origins of that and where it's going. But one of the things you had everyone do is look at the platitudes. Am I saying that word properly?
Yeah.
And I love that, because so many people are very generic out there. And we live in a world now where AI could you and I could have AI build an entire website and a business for us while we're having this conversation.
Right.
But it's not going to pass the sniff test because of platitudes. But maybe you could share that, because I know we have a lot of entrepreneurs and then our Go Wellness community, the doctors in our community who will be listening to this. But would you mind just sharing that same wisdom that you shared with us that day on Proper 360, if you remember the presentation?
Yeah, that was back, last year, I think in October, if I remember right, when you came. But that was just, at each one of our retreats, I always start off the first day. We get together for 2 days when we get together. And I always start off teaching something that I've learned over the years. And that particular day, I think the title, if I remember right, of that presentation was How to Elevate Yourself Above the Competition, Then Eliminate Them. And I know that's a sore spot for a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs, is how do I differentiate what I'm doing? Because I feel like I sound just like the next guy. I feel like we're all saying the same things, right? We look the same, we sound the same. Well, no wonder we're losing sales, because the person that's looking at it, the prospect, just doesn't know the difference between your company and another company that's saying the same thing that they do. So that I tried to dive a little deeper on that perspective of talking about, if you remember, it was the inside reality versus the outside perception, right? The inside reality is your business, and obviously you've got to be good at what you do, or you've got a problem to begin with, right? But the inside reality is how you operate your business, your product, your service, your people, your systems, and all those things that are, if they're really good and they're solid, the challenge that a lot of businesses have, and I meet people all the time that have an amazing offering, but they don't communicate it very well to their prospects. And so the outside perception is that you look just like everybody else because you're not communicating that effectively. And there's a number of ways that you need to do that. But, we talked about the platitudes, the platitudes that we see on people's websites, and it's the words that you would normally expect to see. And that's the problem, is if I expect to see it, it's not doing much for me. I'm not going to wake up and it's not going to grab my attention, right? It's not going to captivate me. And so the platitudes are a trap that we get into, where we keep saying the same things everybody else is saying, but it's not really getting anybody's attention. It's not triggering the reticular activator in their mind to say, wow, this is different. What's going on here? So that's something we dove into. And one of the questions I asked, if you remember, there was a few different tests I gave, but one of the tests I gave was, look at your website, look at your headlines, your subheadlines, everything you're saying. And the question for you is, Who else can say that?
Yep. Totally.
If
Yes.
your competitor can say the same thing you're saying, you got a problem, right?
Yep.
So you've got to figure out, what can I say that they can't say, that they cannot say. And so that was one of the areas we dove into. And it's amazing how people, when they start to look through the eyes of the prospect instead of their own eyes of building it out, right? They start thinking about, wow, I do look the same. If you remember, we had the name swap test. Go to your competitor's website and put your name at the top. And is it still valid?
Yeah, totally.
If it's still valid, you've got a problem. And if you can put their name in front of, cross out your name and put it on your website or your materials, and it's still valid, that's the problem. You're all sounding the same, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that can go. We could go down a rabbit hole for a good 2 hours if we wanted to on that one. But it's just learning how to communicate to your audience and to your prospects what it is that you uniquely do that's different than what they're going to experience somewhere else. And most business owners don't do that very well.
And isn't that what we need in society now more than ever with AI, the copy paste world? It's like it forces us as business owners, entrepreneurs to actually start thinking more creatively about what do we do that's really unique. And that's, I'm just sharing people just a little bit of Mike's wisdom that you can get when you go to his events, his proper 360 events. But think about how much better it is doing business with somebody where you can feel the soul in the business. That's what I love. I mean, there's nothing better. So get rid of your platitudes.
Well, it's like Simon Sinek, he says, it's the same. We've all heard it. Like, people don't do business with you. They do business. They look at why you're in your business and why you do your business. That's what they're buying. They're buying your why. And there's just too many businesses out there I see that have a great thing going, but they are not communicating it very effectively. So in fact, I'm looking at building out a whole program about this because I think it's so important, and I see it happening all the time. And people's revenue, they could 2x, 3x, 5x without even spending any more money just by making a few changes in their marketing. It's, Jay Abraham talks about the 3 ways you can increase your revenue. There's only 3 ways to do it, right? You don't even have to go out and get new customers. It's just that you're losing sales and you're losing some of that to your competition when you don't need to be. It's just it's the outside perception that's the problem. It's not the inside reality that's the problem most of the times.
And what do you feel like where do people get stuck when they're trying to, share their message and be authentic?
Well, I think, there's just a lot. I think there's so many different pieces to it, right? I think one of the issues is that they're not niching down enough. They don't really understand their avatar. I'm talking about a real deep level, not just, I know who my customers are. Do you really? What's the average age? Besides, what does their family life look like? What do they do in the morning? What do they do at night? What are their hobbies? What magazines are they reading? You have to get so deep on your avatar. So one of the issues is you've got to really speak to that person. And there's a lot of ways that you've learned how to do that. One of them is when you get a great customer or client is you interview them and you find out why they chose you. And when they give you those words, boy, you better be recording or you better be writing them down, because those words they share with you can be key to your sales copy. And that's what's going to resonate with people, right? So a lot of times we get stuck in the trap of marketing speak where we're saying words that we think sound cool, but it's not the words they would think of or words they would say to their spouse, the pillow talk at night, right? It's like, what are they just saying when they're laying in bed talking? That's the stuff you got to know, right?
The gold. And that's where Dan Sullivan has had us do this exercise based on Herschel Walker. Herschel Walker, the former running back. He said that what you say about yourself is what you're good at, but what others say about you is what you're great at. And so Dan had us go through and look at all the things we say, our platitudes, and then what do other people say about us? And I was going through that. I was like, holy cow. Like, people can promote East West so much better than I can, and my clients do. And we have a bunch of phenomenal testimonials on there now, which are, it's like, you're right. And now I need to just change all of the verbiage on the website. And because that's really what we want to see is we want to see what's the experience like as another human. And we want to see, is that experience the one I want to have? Because Reagan can talk to me about the experience, but that's through his lens and he's biased. Right. I want to know from someone who's not biased what the experience is really like, and
Yeah,
that's
yes,
the magic.
you want to know their words. What were they thinking? What were they feeling? And boy, when they're telling you, boy, those are the words you got to capture because that is key to your sales copy and knowing how to use it. And that's what converts. And you're right. I mean, it's people buy on perception.
Mm,
Unfortunately, they're not buying on the reality. They
yeah.
buy on perception. They keep buying or they stop buying based on the experience and the reality once they're in the door, right?
Yep.
But anyway, that's one of many topics that are fun to dive into because it's so important. I see business owners that could be doing so much better. They're leaving so much money on the table because of their marketing or lack of it, and the way they're trying to I guess impress people, and they're going about it the wrong way a lot of times. So
And Prosper 360. So, that's a community of entrepreneurs. I mean, I met people from so many different industries there. It wasn't like, a lot of masterminds I go to, it's like, oh, these are all marketing guys and I have nothing in common. I have no idea what they're talking about, or all healthcare. And that's what I did for a long time, was just all healthcare. But yours is it's a unique mix. But, maybe you could give us kind of some foundational insights on, who's in the group, what's it for, what do people get out of it?
yeah, no, I appreciate it. When I started this, it was just, I think I shared with you, after I sold my last business a few years ago, about 4 years ago, I just thought, now what am I going to do the rest of my life, right? And I had this idea in the back of my mind. I've been a part of other mastermind groups, and they're all great in different ways, right? But I definitely noticed things that I really liked, and there were things I didn't care for. And I thought, gosh, if I ever did one of these, this is how I would do it. And on that road trip with my wife, that's when the inspiration came to me, like, I got to do this. I got to put this together. And you're right. This is for good natured. That's an important part of this.
Mm,
Successful is an important part of this because they've got to have something to give. But good natured, successful entrepreneurs, business leaders, CEOs, founders, co-founders, anybody who is growth minded, but like you said, I wanted to have a diversity. I wanted to have a cross pollination of different people. I don't want it to be marketing or groupthink. I don't
yeah.
want it to be just about marketing or just about investing, because then you're all talking the same language and you got a groupthink problem. There's benefit to that. Don't get me wrong, but I want that diversity of experience, because what you find is that brings a richness into the room and
Yeah.
brings that collective genius is so powerful, and they're all givers. They're as you met several of the members, we have the most genuine people in this group that really care about each other, and they're givers, and they are really there to help each other to grow. And it's what's fun about that. What you just brought up is you'll see situations where you might be in a business that's doing, I don't know, say $3 million a year. I'm just throwing a number out there, and you'll have a guy that's in a business that's a third of your size. He's doing 1 million a year, and naturally you may think, well, what is he going to teach me, right? My business is bigger, but the reality is that person that's in a business half your size or a third of your size could be doing something in their marketing funnel you've never thought about, right? And they share something, they share an idea, and you're like, holy crap, I never thought about that. Whether it's the marketing funnel, the webinar, or whatever. And you think, if I take that idea back to the drawing board with my team after we're done with the retreat and we brainstorm this, I mean, that could be a game changer. Just that one or
Mm.
two ideas you get. So that's what I love about having a mix of expertise and experience in the room, for sure.
Man, it does make a big difference. And the good natured really is important. It's sometimes the people who have something to prove, you're just like, I don't think you belong in this room, because we're all just learning. I mean, that's what people don't realize, is when you're an entrepreneur, it's just like you're just hoping you can play the game another day. It's not, it's just
Yeah, yeah, no, that's so important. I mean, as Reagan, you've been around a lot of entrepreneurs, and there's a lot of successful people out there. Some I care to be around and love to be around. Others I really don't care to be around.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? I
absolutely.
mean, we're not looking for the out of control ego that thinks they know everything and has to be doing all the talking or the drama. It's like, no, we don't need that. We just want to be around good people who you really love their company, the kind of people you'd invite to your home, for dinner.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Yeah, and that's probably the biggest thing I found in my Go Wellness group. I started it about 8 years ago because I found in the medical world, There's just not like an academic think tank where people could get together, no matter what their background was, and have like real discussions around innovation in medicine. Because it was always framed on, well, I practice this way, I get better results than everybody else. And man, the ego was just, it would get overwhelming. So yeah, just like you, I said, well, I'm going to bring in all kinds of providers from completely conventional to the most out there, holistic,
Yeah.
psychedelic shaman or whatever that there is, and we can all come to the same agreement of, hey, let's do what's best for our clients, and let's see what's the fastest way we can get people feeling better, looking better, and performing better, and that's kind of similar to what you've done with the Proper 360 group. So, right now you have events. Are they once a month or is it every other month? What's the framework like?
So the framework, a great question, because I thought deeply about this. I've been a part of groups where I felt like we're meeting too much. We're all busy. I can't meet every week. And some people
Yeah.
have
Oh, I'm
great
the
for
same.
them. For me personally, I don't have the time for that. But I think a monthly touch point's important. But what we do, I mean, the core benefit of Prosper 360 is we get together a few times a year. It averages about quarterly. So each member can attend up to 3 retreats. They're 2 days long on a Thursday and Friday. Typically, we have several throughout the years they can pick from. And then, of course, we have our annual summit that we do. So it ends up being 3 to 4 times a year. And we don't force that, obviously. If they can make them, they can. And if they can't, we record everything. We video everything. We've got everything recorded so they can log into the member site and look at everything we did if they couldn't be there in person. So those retreats are obviously, they're amazing. You were there. We had you there as a guest. And we bring in people like you that are just awesome at what they do. And as you can tell by the Prosper 360 name, it's not just about business and making a lot of money. It's, hey, let's talk about our health. Let's talk about our relationships. Let's bring in guys like you that can help us with that, because that's so critical. And we do workshops, of course, hot seats and breakout sessions. And we have a great experience for 2 days. A lot of takeaways, but that's the core benefit. And then monthly, we have what we call accountability and advisory board calls, which is run by just the best facilitators that are so good at this. And so for 90 minutes, you're on a call with about 7, 8, 9 other members. And it's a check-in. What was it, Reagan, that you were going to do this last 30 days? And
oh, wow.
Did you get it done, or did stuff get in the way, right? I mean, no matter how successful we are, it doesn't matter. Execution can be a problem because life just gets in the way. We're putting out fires, and it's good to have that check-in, that return and report, and have a team there, that other group that cares, but we're all helping each other, right? We're holding each other accountable for what we're saying we're going to do. And so that's an important part of it. I hear a lot of people that just say to me, that's alone worth this investment. Like that helps them really stay on track. So it's good.
Because at the end of the day, a lot of us, it's like, well, who holds the business owner accountable? Like,
right.
So you kind of need to put yourself in a group, because it's usually not more information that's needed. It's like it's more accountability. And the same with health. It's like if we really want to see people make the changes, then there's got to be some accountability there, and it makes such a big difference.
And we all know that when you report back to somebody about something you committed to do, you're more likely to do it. You're more likely to get it done, because what you don't want to do is come back in a month to their group and say, this got in the way, and we all but it's good to have something that just kind of keeps you honed in on what am I going to get done this next 30 days. Execution can be hard, even no matter how successful we are, man. Stuff just gets in the way, whether it's, and sometimes it's complexity or perfectionism or whatever, but
sure,
it's good. It's a great mechanism for sure.
Yeah. And this execution is the key. I mean, it's no different than when we have somebody enroll in a program and we're like, all right, 60 days is where we're really going to like tighten things down and like get rid of the sugar and start getting hydrated and exercise. And it's nice because that's when people make the biggest shifts in their current habits. We're all 100% disciplined to our current set of habits. So it's like, let's just change habits, and it doesn't really require more time. And that's essentially what you're doing with Proper 360. It's like when you're in groups like that, other people are going to have better ideas than you're going to have yourself. I mean, it's inevitable. Even the guy that's, maybe just started his business, you're like, oh, that's brilliant. Where did you get that? And it's, it saves you 3 years of work because you learn the strategy just by being in those sessions.
Oh yeah. I mean, we all know. I mean, we think, by ourselves, we think unilaterally. We can only see and think about so much. And it's the old thing that Stephen Covey talks about: 1+1 is not 2. It's 1+1 is 11, right? It's the power of that collaboration just explodes the opportunities that are there and what people can gain by being in a room with kindred spirits who care about and want to give you ideas of what's worked for them and something you've never thought about. It's that one great idea, right? It's better than 1,000 ordinary ones. And you don't need 30 ideas. You just need one or two that can be a game changer for your business or your life,
It's wild. At the I was telling you, the Sundance group that I was in.
Yeah.
What Brooke had us do at the end is everyone stated their goals, what they want to accomplish, but then she gave us all. We wrote it all down on a paper, and everyone's had dialogue around it. This was the very last day. And then she gave us each 3 minutes to write down advice or connections or some way that we could help each other. And so by the end, your page got passed around to all 15 people. And then you're filling out something that you can do. And so I made a bunch of connections for people and was recording videos of people who I thought could get them to the next level and what they're trying to accomplish in their life or their business. A lot of it was personal. A lot of it was health related, and a large portion of it was also business. But it was really fun, just like seeing how when you put some energy behind helping somebody else out, it's a powerful experience. And so any books that are inspirational to you right now?
Oh man. Got to think about, well, I've been reading the one that, and I actually gave in the last retreat, I talked about this. Gay Hendricks, just went blank on the name of the book. Your Genius, finding the genius zone. What's the name of that book? The Leap. What's it called? Forgot.
I know who Gay Hendricks is. I'll look it up.
I got the book sitting right here.
The Big Leap. The Big Leap.
Yeah, sorry. The fish jumping out of the
to the next level.
Yeah. So yeah, that one that's been awesome. His work is awesome. And man, I'll tell you, I shared some things at the last retreat about that very thing, because what he talks about in that book is the 4 different zones that we can operate in, right? I mean, there's a zone of incompetence, which we're not even touching that one. Yeah. There's competence. Yeah. Then the one that's scary is a zone of excellence. And boy, that is one that we often get trapped into because we're good at it, and other people rely upon us to stay in that zone. But if we stay there, we never get to our zone of genius. And what I taught is, I told the group, this is just a couple months ago, I said, guys, I was in the zone of excellence for over 20 years in a business that generated, over $100 million, and I was really good at it. But the longer I was in it, the more I felt this discontent, like, this isn't it. You got to get out and do something different, whatever pulling my heart, and so the sooner we can figure out what truly is our zone of genius, and we got to move carefully into that zone. You can't jump in too fast. And of course, I kind of added my own little spin to it. I said, what I call the twilight zone is when you're operating in all 4 zones.
That's great.
I think I'm going to contact Gay and say, hey, have you thought about putting this in your book? But that's the twilight zone, right? But the question is, are you in the danger zone? Are you in a zone that's not in your zone of genius? Are you functioning in a place that, a lot of people wake up in their 40s and go, man, I'm really good at this, but I just don't feel that fulfillment I'm looking for. It takes guts. It takes courage to leave that and to eventually get into what is truly your zone of genius. What is your gift to the world? And that's not easy to do. But that's been a book that's been very inspiring to me recently. I've just read the last couple of months, and I decided to do a workshop on it. So anyway.
Wow. So how do you know if you're just in your zone of excellence? I mean, what you're noticing is it just it's like death by 1,000 cuts. It's like, yeah, you can tolerate it, but over time it just hurts you. Is that a good analogy?
Part of it, yeah. I mean, your zone of excellence means you are excellent. You're good at it, but are you feeling some kind of a pull to do something bigger? Are you feeling, is there some kind of dissatisfaction? I mean, in that business I talked about, I told the group, I said, guys, I was making up to $1 million a year. I was doing really well, and I could just stay here and go, this is great. My life's great. But the more money I was making, actually, in a sense, I was feeling almost less and less satisfied, thinking there's something else I've got to do. I've got to take what I've learned over the last 20 years and somehow get out there and teach this and get it out to the world. And so I don't know. That's a good question, Reagan. I think it's just a lot of self-inspection and just what your gut is telling you. If you are absolutely loving every minute of it, and that's one of the things that the guy talks about is, if you get lost in what you're doing and it doesn't even feel like work in a sense, then maybe you are in your zone of genius. But it's a lot of us, I think, operate in that zone of excellence, and it's tricky. And I think we could easily stay there because people are dependent upon us there. It's their comfort zone, and it's our comfort zone, and it's a little scary to start to get into this final zone of genius. And it was, boy, I had a really good response from that. I had people that came up to me and said, this is exactly what I needed to hear right now because I am just trying to figure that out. I know I've got to make some changes, and it's hard. It's scary, right?
Yeah.
But I think it's what your gut's telling you. If you have found it, I think you're in it. But if you feel something is pulling you and you're just getting, it's okay, you make good living, but it's just not giving the fulfillment that you're really feeling like there's something else there for you to do. You've got to start listening to that. And sometimes it shows up as sickness, is what he talks about in his book. So hopefully we don't go too far down that road, but it took me a while to figure that out. And that's I try to teach the group, don't make the same mistake I did. Don't go 2 decades doing something really good and making a lot of money doing it, but thinking all along, I really want to do this other thing. And one day when I have time, it's like it's you gotta take that leap. So
are you in your zone of genius now?
it's a good question. I feel like I'm definitely more in line with it. I'm still, as I mentioned to you, there's like 2 or 3 other ideas, and one of them is that program I just mentioned that I'm going to put together, which I think can really help people in their businesses. But definitely this Prosper 360. I'll tell you what, I mean, now I'm in my 50s. I'm like, man, I'm more excited about this than anything else I've done. And why did it take me this long, right? But I really do feel like I'm a lot more in my zone of genius of what I do, and what really lights me up. And I just feel like you have to follow that I call them divine downloads, right? You get these ideas that come to you, and you can't ignore that, because if you keep ignoring it and pushing it away, it doesn't really ever go away. I don't want to die, with that song still inside of me. Like I think, as we all know, it's not the things we do that we regret, it's the things we never did and don't do. That's what we're going to regret in the end. And so I had to make some big changes a few years ago. I had to really push to get my company sold, and but to me, I feel like I'm finally on the right path. It's good.
Man, well, it's awesome to see, because you can feel it. You can go, for those of you who have had a chance to go to Proper 360, you'll know what I'm saying, because a lot of your clients are also clients of ours. And then for those of you who are looking for a heart-centered group with somebody who really cares and does the work and puts together a great event, check out Mike's group. Mike, what's the best way for people to learn about it, and who's probably who are the people who are the right fit people for Proper 360?
The best way to probably just to learn more is to go to our website, prosper360.com. Go through it. We pretty much have everything, how it works. It's all there. And then you can just click on the application button and apply to become a member. And what will happen is within 3 business days, our curation team will take a look at everything. If it makes sense, it looks like the right fit, you'll get an email, and that'll basically be an invitation for an exploration call with me. I like to talk to everybody personally. I feel like that's important as a leader of the group. But sorry, what was your second question? You just asked me. Oh,
who should give you guys a call and reach out?
If you're an entrepreneur, if you're a business owner, if you're a CEO, if you're a founder, co-founder, if you're an expert at something that really can benefit entrepreneurs, I'm good with that. It doesn't have to necessarily be this big expert or big business owner. Then that's who we're looking for. People who are growth minded, who are looking to collaborate and connect with other like-minded people. And givers. We're about, you've met some of the people there, Reagan. You've worked with some of them. And these people are givers. There's givers and takers, right? We know that. But these people are all so genuine, and they really are givers at heart. And if that's what you're looking for, if you're looking to be surrounded by the right kind of people that will help propel you in your business to get to new heights as well as your personal life, if you're looking to be part of something really special, Prosper 360 is it.
Awesome. Well, keep working in your unique genius. We love it, or your genius zone. And I appreciate your time today, Mike. I appreciate all the work you're doing, and really look forward to seeing the future with Proper 360. You guys have some amazing things going on.
Thank you, Reagan. I sure appreciate the time and for the opportunity to be on here with you, and appreciate what you shared with our group as well as me personally working with you. So thank you.
Yep, my pleasure. And everybody, if you love the show, make sure you share this with your friends, family, loved ones, and really appreciate you being part of our community. We'll see you next time.